While the virgin birth takes the prize for the most remarkable birth story in history, it wasn't the only one involving a peculiar infant. Okay, we admit that the babies on today's lineup don't boast the same feats as baby Jesus, but they're pretty unique. Stick around if you like to find out what sets our picks apart from your everyday and certain miracle-working infants. Number 10. A fish out of water. Our legs don't get enough credit for body parts that help us move around and carry our entire body and weight at that. Admit it, we're all guilty of skipping leg days like they're nothing, but it turns out that our lower extremities house some of our strongest muscles. For this reason, not training your legs can result in increased chances of injuries and overall imbalance. But what happens when these crucial muscles mutate inside the womb? Well, as you can see in the clip, the child's born with fused legs that appear like a mermaid's tail, and understandably they're rendered immobile. This mutation is rightly called Sirenomelia, aka mermaid syndrome, and it results due to a combination of unknown genetic and environmental causes. Although the baby in question suffers from a complete fusion, there have also been cases of partial fusions. To add to that, what makes this baby girl from Junin, Peru so unique is that this disorder only occurs in 1 out of 100,000 children. However, it's 3 times more likely to occur in males. For those of you who are curious to know if she survived, she did, but sadly she passed away after 15 whole years in 2019. Now, even though this information is sad, it's also quite enigmatic when you consider that her condition normally doesn't let the sufferer survive past a few months. Resilience thy name is Malagros Seron. Rest in power. Number 9. Two-Face. There's a surplus of two-faced, as in possessing two faces in the literal sense, characters in the media that we regularly consume. Case in point, Harvey Dent. This baby appears to have been plucked out of one such story. Galenga Dika from Indonesia, however, didn't develop his unique condition as a result of chemical exposure or evil experimentation. As a matter of fact, he has a twin to thank for his 2 heads and 2 brains. Yes, if you haven't guessed it yet, the additional face and brain is what would have been Andika's twin. Now, we're not experts, but we know that this happened due to issues with the egg cell. Simply put, it didn't split into 2 and caused Gilang's potential sibling to latch onto what later became his body. Remove the biological element from this story and you've got a Stephen King-level horror novel on your hands. Anywho, as a result of this mutation, this child can't be breastfed. In addition to that, he's also developed a condition called hydrocephalus, which causes his brain, or rather brains, to fill up with fluids. As far as his life expectancy is concerned, doctors have told his parents that he's not going to survive. And even if he does, the fluid buildup in his brain will cause a range of conditions like epilepsy, speech impairment, etc. Let's all take a minute to send our love and prayers to him and his folks. We hope he's still around. Speaking of folks, the upcoming couple took childbearing to another level. Number 8. Three's a crowd. Two's company, three's a crowd. Well, not for this couple that had a baby using 3-parent technique. Why did they feel the need for this, you ask? From what we know, it was because the baby's mom suffers from Leigh syndrome. In the simplest of terms, it's a disease that affects the developing nervous system during a pregnancy and which resides in the mother's mitochondria. Yep, it's not only the powerhouse of the cell. Meme references aside, the disorder led to the miracle child's mom to miscarry 2 of her previous children. So in order to limit the chances of another miscarriage, the duo decided to give this method a shot. Backstory done and dusted, here's what the child's inception was like. From what we've gathered, the doctors from the New Hope Fertility Center in New York began by transferring nuclear DNA from the mother and mitochondrial DNA from the donor into a single egg. This Franken egg was then fertilized using the dad's sperm, and lo and behold, 9 months later, out came the miracle kid. And as for the kid's health, we can't say anything for sure because there have been no reports of it. However, since this method is fairly new, scientists have reasons to believe that it could pose its own set of genetic problems. Here's hoping that the baby in question stays safe from them. He's made history after all, and it'd be too bad if he doesn't get to boast his extraordinary birth as an adult. Number 7. Got your nose. Arrhythmia is a disorder so rare that there are only 41 known cases of it. Among these cases was the birth of Eli Thompson in 2015. Eli, like most people affected by this malady, was born without a nose. We said most because despite being scientifically challenged, we know that his condition also sometimes affects the eyes. Yes, you heard that right. This syndrome can also cause the gene responsible for eye formation to mutate. Now, if you're wondering how Eli was able to survive for 2 years without a nose, it was with the help of a tracheostomy. It's simply a tube that's inserted into the patient's neck to help them eat and breathe. grieve. Because of surviving this condition for 2 whole years, Thompson earned the title of Miracle Kid and was really popular in the public eye as well. As a result, and following his death in 2017, his parents received a number of supportive messages from across the globe. He was truly a force to be reckoned with, even at his tender age. The mention of age brings us to this next contender on the list. Number 6. Looking old for your age. We've all been called old for our age at some point in our lives, but it was definitely not at the point of our births. This Hungarian baby, however, is an exception to that on the account of being born with a full head of white hair. No, that's not the hair dye, it's his natural hair. Now, this might not seem that unique to some of you because children with albinism have white hair, but hold your thought. Believe it or not, while doctors have detected a bit of melanin issue in this baby's genetic makeup, it's not enough to diagnose him with albinism. Besides the minor melanin problems, his medical reports don't have anything to worry about. Awesome! Who wouldn't want locks like that? Provided they're not life-threatening, of course, but still pretty interesting. Let's check out this next one as well. Number 5. Well, Bowelo there. You know how sometimes your food arrives with the items all over the place? Yeah, it's a good enough analogy for what we're going to describe to you. At least we think so. Basically, as you can see in the case of baby Riley, there exists a condition which leads to the intestines and several organs being outside at the time of birth. This condition, which is referred to exomphalos, only occurs in 4 out of 10 babies. As for why it happens, it's because the child's abdominal wall isn't fully developed during its time in the womb. Thankfully, this condition is treatable and with the aid of surgery. Honestly, this is the kind of scientific progress we can get behind, not robots who could potentially take us out. Number 4. Twinsies. Speaking of science, it can be downright weird at times. Take this family of twins as an example who gave birth to kids, who are both cousins and brothers. Confused? Let us explain. This phenomenon is called quaternary twinning. It's when 2 children born 9 months apart to identical twin mothers share the same DNA without sharing the same womb. Mind blown. Imagine being this kind of unique. Sadly, however, not all children are this lucky when it comes to being born in weird circumstances. Here's an example. Number 3. Harley Quinn. The baby in this clip might seem like a hybrid, but it's 100% human. The reason it looks like that is because of a disorder called Harlequin ichthyosis. This terrifying condition occurs in premature babies, and as its name implies, it creates a bunch of diamond-shaped masses of hard skin on their bodies. These masses of skin disrupt all the functions that a normal person's epidermis performs for them. For instance, children suffering from this disorder can't control their body temperature. For this reason, most of them don't survive past the first few weeks of their birth. Gosh, that's sad. Number 2. Cutie Patootie. To take your mind off of what we just saw, here's an interesting story from Kenya. It's about a baby who was born with 28 whole teeth. Yeah, we wish we were making this up. But nope, while James' dad was afraid to touch him, we think there's nothing wrong with him. Like natal teeth are rare, but there's nothing to worry about. That is, when there's 2 or 3 of them. We don't know why James got 25 extra ones, but they do sure make him unique. Number 1. Cyclops. If you thought Cyclops were the only thing of Greek legends, think again. This Indonesian baby might help you form that new perspective. The condition that you're witnessing is called cyclopia. Why does it occur, you ask? Well, it mainly happens when the brain fails to split into the 2 designated hemispheres during fetal developments. If the condition has scared you out of the idea of childbearing, fret not. It only occurs in 1 in 100,000 babies. Alright, which one of these babies was the most uniquest? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Trend Joint, and we'll see you in the next one.